So today's episode is an interview with the street artist from London named Hats. So I've been into street art since I was a teenager, and I first watched the movie Exit Through the Gift Shop, which I highly recommend. It's really great for understanding the culture behind street art. And why we're really wanting to talk to Hats is because he's kind of revolutionizing what can be done in terms of bringing street art to Bitcoin. So for those who know me, know that Bitcoin has become a special interest of mine. And what I really like about it is the community of artists who are inscribing their art onto Bitcoin. And so Hats is really cool because he's pioneering what can be done in terms of bringing street art on chain. So in his first collection, he made 50 pieces of tile art and he put them around London. And then each of them had a corresponding piece of art inscribed on the Bitcoin. So you could purchase the Bitcoin and own the piece of art in real life. He's now about to do his second gen, which will be worldwide. And he talks a little bit about that today as well. This interview was conducted on another platform with my co-host Based. So if you hear a couple of people popping in and out, don't be confused, that's why. And there might be a bit of Bitcoin jargon that you're unfamiliar with, but this might be a great opportunity for you to learn. So without further ado, please welcome Hats.
Anyway, I've got an intro song for us.
Yes. How would you?
What's going on, Hats? How are you?
Yo, Hats.
Hi, you're right. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. And yeah, all good.
No,
Yeah, I kind of just like get into hats a bit if we want and talk about it,
Yeah.
I guess. And
yeah,
if you guys have any questions, feel free to fire whatever. But it's really interesting what we're doing with Gen 2. So just a bit of background, I guess, on hats. It's like a project that was born out of a lot of frustration, I guess. I think that people underestimate how broken and dead a lot of graffiti and street art is. It's a scene that I've been around for a long time. I really, really fell in love with it when I lived in Berlin, which was 2012. And but even in my teens, I was always fucking around. But when I started to understand how badly people were getting by and how little things had developed, you start to think, God, this is really like everything started turning to muralism, like muralists and street art and painting on big walls, which I fucking love. Like, it's great, but it's not me. Like, really, like when people do really lifelike or really, there's some really cool artists in the scene that do that. And I just never really fucked with it that much. Like, I always think that the nature of putting something up, literally the words putting up or getting up, is like throwing up. It's like when you do that, it's there's something really primitive and special and illegal about it, and it's really nice. And so I kind of like wanted to look at making a series of works that would highlight kind of the inclusion of Web3, because I don't want to sound pretentious and shit, but it's really it's hard. Like, it's hard to understand what the point is. You do often you wonder, you know what I mean? You don't, like, people, just because you can make money in the space doesn't mean that everything that's in the space is a good idea. So if you're like, like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking make a Web3, no, it's like, does society actually, is there a call for that? I think we see it a lot with PFP projects too. It's like, God bless fucking DeGods and all these guys that have tried probably very hard and are extremely inexperienced at what they're doing. But a group of 24-year-olds fucking, with 40 million in the bank trying to work out how to create a brand is just a recipe for disaster. And you have to ask yourself, I still think to this day, one of the best thing that comes out of these things isn't necessarily the community. The community is so important. But I think a lot of it, from a technical side, is actually how the community is managed. That's what really interests me the most. That's what I think is the most powerful thing. Like, you have, like, Matrika are like the sort of recognized gods of this space, in my opinion. And because get to create tokenized access to servers of information using NFT technology is fucking brilliant. And it's like, that is fucking brilliant. And if you said to me, however many years ago when I was in Berlin, like, how could you build a crowd? I'd have said Instagram. That's what everyone did. Everyone just used to do shit just for Instagram. And now I could show you 10 artists that I know that spray, and they spray walls and they film it and they put it on Instagram, and then their mate will come along and they'll paint it up and they'll spray the next one, like, you know, within a couple of hours, because it's immortalized immediately on Instagram for the likes, and no one needs to know that it doesn't exist anymore. And I just always thought that was fucked. I'm like, that was not why people put tags up. That's not why people put work up. And so it got to this like whole stage of just thinking how you can use Web3 to bring it in, right? And I just think that I've tried creating brands before, not streetwear a little, but music, a lot of music stuff. And it dawned on me that this was an insane opportunity to activate community and have anonymity still, and go out and create amazing work at street level, and then have something that could be tokenized and give the community the chance to speak to me, see what we do, and become a part of it, and yeah, and create something relatively exclusive within that, I guess, and not shirk away from the exclusivity, because I think it's important. So yeah, and then Bitcoin came along, which was really interesting because I did some work, because Tony and I talk a lot. Tony came into the space at the same time, which we've always hung out on calls, and it's really nice. Like, I count Tony as a friend. It's great that I'm very lucky to have met him too. He's an amazing artist, and I can't remember when it was, but I was like, I just want to do some like work, and I always find it easier to work off other people's work sometimes. So I did. The Zero Monkey Business stuff was popping, and I got loads of paper up on an archway, and I was like, did this big, hats and ZMB thing. Tony like fucking loved it, and we were just chatting about it. And then I think, because he was already releasing stuff, I think he did the first 100. Oh no, he did Red Eyes and Blue Eyes with ZK, and ZK got hold of me and was like, I would love a piece in London. And he kind of like low key bust my balls a bit to get it done. So I was like, I was like, it would be great, and I'm really up for that. And he's awesome, really really nice guy. But just like, I'm going to be here on this date. I want it this size. No. Like, fucking hell, do you know how hard it is to go and find a wall in London with no fucking time that's this size, like, available, that we're both going to go and hit? He brings fucking Cook Capital comes along, like, fucking what? Like, it's just so funny. So I'm there. We do all, yeah, we do all this shit in like 48 hours.
A real laugh, sorry.
yeah, that's. So it's just, the whole thing was just like, whoa! Like, I had to get it cut, measured, and then dream up a wall that I was going to go and hit. And my mate was like, I think there's a 3 meter by 3 meter wall available near Leek Street, and you could gloss over it and put it up in a day. And I was like, fuck me, Jack, it better work. And got up there and I was like, oh, this wall's perfect. It's literally the right measurements for the thing I've cut. Okay, rang ZK, he came, put the work up. We went and had lunch, and yeah, we like hours just talking about ordinals, and just everything. And I was just sat and really digested. I was like, fucking hell. I was like, this actually, the position I'm in and the amount of money I have is interesting, because it's like I've got a small amount of money that I can put into the next thing. And I was kind of fed up of just releasing one of ones into the Solana network and the Ethereum network, because it's really interesting. Like, I love releasing work in that manner, but I think it become a little bit like mental. People waiting for those 100, 200, 400, 500 Solana sales, and if you didn't have certain boogles backing it, and you weren't christened or baptized by John Lay's like and retweet or whatever it was, then it wouldn't quite go that way. I mean, luckily John's a collector of mine, and we talk all the time, but like, by the by. But I just felt bad for, like, everyone else and shit like that. So, and it was going well for me, but I looked and thought, right, I've got X, and I can use it on something. And I just kind of like talked to Partial and my wife, and I was like, I've had this idea I've wanted to do something like this for years. And yeah, we realized that what we wanted to do was hat sats. So we used Bitcoin to inscribe images, which are hats, and then there is a physical, and the physical piece mirrors the inscription, and we go and hit cities with these pieces so that they can live. We use a really, 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 really strong glue, and we put them into pretty hard to reach places. And yeah, the work is a representation of the inscription. So the inscription has the exact coordinates of the work. So you collect this piece and you've mirrored it with this physical. And then behind the physical, there's near field communication that when you tap your phone, if you can get up to the spot and put your phone on it, it will take you to the inscription of the work. So it's kind of full circle. You have a physical that leads to the inscription. You have an inscription that leads to the physical. And the reason I did this, I think,
sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it. I'm fucking talking to
No,
you.
I was gonna say, how hard is it for me to reach up with my phone though?
Really hard. We're working.
Good.
We're working on developing some parts. So, like, one of the things, the best way to do this in the future is AR, so that we can feed the image, which are all being written as HTML anyway, into a simple script, and an AR camera can recognize the image and bring up either the URL onto your phone or something that would hover around it using augmented reality, which could be quite cool too, like have the inscription appear on the street but via your phone. So that's we want to. I've already contacted a company in London called No Ghost to try and do this, and it's going to cost an arm and a leg, but it would be really cool. It's something we'll develop into the project as we move along, because I know that the near field communication thing kind of works but doesn't. But the main thing of putting the near field communication in it was honestly more of like a physical, what's the word, like watermark, like a something to live behind it that says we did this, not just for people to put their phone on it, but if, for example, that ever got in the hands of someone, that there was something on it that would lead to it. Like, I see it as a engraving or so that was that's why we did that. So we hit London with 50 pieces. I contacted a lot of people. Geo in the crowd was a collector of mine, and based you picked up some pieces, and we got 40 other collectors, and it sold out in 2 hours. It was quite. We pitched the price relatively high because we needed funds to exact the next part of the project, and that's what we're doing at the minute. We've invested in some insane cinema level video equipment, and we've poured a lot of work into how we're going to roll out Gen 2. We want Gen 2 to sell out. Of course, everybody wants their project to sell out, but we want to. It's really interesting. We've got this other kind of this other thing that we need to do it, because we need to get to these cities. We need to get to these cities and do it because we've got a plan. And basically, it's just extrapolating everything we did in London and just to keep continuously putting it into the hotspots around the globe. Because I know people that have done similar things, people like Frank, or Frank is Space Invader, by the way, and people like Seizure and Shepard Fairey. These hits are what you achieve when you hit a brand and artistic vision at street level around the world is completely fucking unique. And if you do it well, and if you do it right, and you do it fast, and you keep the attention up and you keep the love up, you sort of everything moves with it. It is like lightning in a bottle, and I fucking know that. Partial knows that too. We had it at the London thing, and we've seen it, and we've kind of put it together. So for Gen 2, we're stretching the collection into 500 pieces, and that means that the cost can come down because the supply is a lot higher, which is really important. We're bringing new collectors and new understanders and new enjoyers of what we do, and we go and hit these cities around the globe. And what's nice is I can actually share where we're going. I haven't actually told anyone this yet, so we'll be releasing this slowly. But we're going to Lisbon in 2 weeks to get we're going to hit Lisbon and kind of start the ball rolling, because we need footage for it and so on before we actually do the sale. and then we're hitting Berlin, Athens, and then we made the huge decision of where to go like after that, because we feel like Europe-wise, that's where we want to hit for the minute. I know people are like, well, you're not going to Barcelona and you're not going to fucking Milan, and Athens is where it's at the minute. Like, trust, Athens is actually where it's fucking at. And Berlin will always be where it's at because of the fucking concrete and the post-war shit. But I lived in Berlin for years. We're gonna go to the States, so we're gonna go and hit New York, and then Miami, and then LA, and then San Francisco, and then up to Canada, and then in Canada we'll hit Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal.
Is this all Gen 2?
This is all Gen 2, yeah. So
Whoa,
this is
okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, so it's and it's kind of it's interesting because we need to this project's gonna push us to our limit, and the way that we kind of it's a new twist, right? Like, the attention game's really interesting on NFTs and inscriptions now. And it's like, how do you keep things engaged? How do you keep what's going on current? And I think for artists, it's like, I don't fucking care, because it's and a lot of good projects have fucking proved this anyway. We've got a route. We'll keep the engagement and keep the care, because we'll be filming fucking everything. And then you start to that whole like hashtag it was a movie thing really makes you laugh, but hopefully it does look something like a film. I mean, like, each city will be filmed. And each city, so the films, the edits will be then into our Discord, which will be gated, and people want to come on board and see what we're doing and understanding the story we're piecing together, and then they'll buy one. And we'll keep hitting cities and keep doing that. So we build this backlog, and it's like, well, come on board now, because we're quite clearly building a fucking international brand. I'm literally going to cities around the world to do it. So I don't know. I feel it's like a very I am the utility thing. It's like,
yes,
it just feels to me it feels completely like almost natural. And the reason why the project makes sense is because street artists and graffiti, they've never had the power to keep anonymity and build a community. And Facebook, MySpace, Bebo, Instagram, every fucking iteration, TikTok, all these things that come, they're not that. They aren't that. Because no one puts their fucking money where their mouth is, and there's no exclusivity. It's just mass democratic public bullshit that just pump out nonsense for likes, and pray that companies get hold of you like Molotov or King Spray and all these companies to say, hey, can we sponsor you? It's like, fuck that. That's boring, and it's nonsense, and like, we want to see this shit in auction houses, and we want to see this stuff grow properly as an art concept. Web3 is the way to do it. It's the only place where risk takers are actually putting their money where their mouth is and supporting people and being like, I'm going to be more than a patron. I'm going to be a collector, and I'm going to share. Like, I'm going to show this, and you see it's written over everything. Like, look what's happening with all these fucking actual art projects. And there's backing, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're seeing backing, we're seeing people fucking support, so yeah, that's where we're at.
I have
There's a lot.
Because I love that you brought up Space Invaders, because that's actually something I was going to mention. I was going to ask, like kind of who your influences are and that, because kind of how I got into a little bit, and like Space Invaders piece in Melbourne, in Flemington, which like whenever I see it, I'm like, that's fucking cool there. And it's kind of cool that you're doing something similar. And so like when Base showed me your work, I was like, this is like really excites me.
Cool.
Yeah, like how like is that are they kind of they've been influences for you, and what kind of
So, I mean, it's really weird. Like for me, it's it's super unfashionable, and I don't really mind. It's totally fine. But Banksy is one of the biggest influences in my life. I'm actually not a massive fan of his art. I've developed a different taste. Some of his work I really enjoy, but stencil art become very what's the word, like I don't know. It just, I think when you see shit on t-shirts in Thailand, you kind of know it's over, and that happened for Banksy quite quickly, and no amount of like work's gonna undo that. But the guy went over to fucking Tel Aviv and Palestine, and so many interesting places and fuck shit up. And his Dismal Land creation in England, I think, is one of the greatest pieces of art in ever. But like, period. It is fucking mind blowing what that man achieved with his creative team. So yeah, basically, actually not a big Obey fan at all, except I do think his wheat paste Andre the Giant figure is possibly one of the fucking best wheat pastes ever. Seizure, I love. Space Invader is a massive influence on the project. The weird thing is that we had to pick like those hats on the Gen 1 are an 8x8 grid, so there's 64 tiles in those pieces that we made. And you can't make a lot of things that look like things with an 8x8 grid. You just can't. Like, I've tried, it's really weird. Like, you can't, like, you couldn't do like tools and I'd be called tools and I put tools on the walls of fucking London and shit, like a hammer, and it just wouldn't work with an 8x8 grid. You wouldn't be able, you literally wouldn't look like a,
No,
but for some fucking reason, the hats, like all the hats actually looked like hats. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a hat. You know what I mean?
hats, like, is that one of the main reasons?
What, why the name hats?
Yeah, no, like, yeah, why the hats? Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm laughing because me and Partial just finished our narration recording today, and it starts off with people always ask me why I'm called Hats, and the answer to that is I don't really know. There's lots of different reasons for the hats. I think that it's just something that's developed. I'm kind of pissed off it's become as literal as it is, because you worry sometimes that you're not like taken seriously as an artist just because your name's stupid. But I've got a major problem with
I get that
really
I get that all the time, so don't worry about it.
yeah, right. You know what I mean? It's I've got a problem with I really enjoy anonymity is what I'm trying to say, and I just wanted something that was pretty absurd, and I used to draw hats on lots of stuff, and I don't know. There's loads of different strange reasons why it did, but that the hats thing as a tile grid. I just remember I was in a place called Hydra, which is in Greece. I'm obsessed with Greece. I try and go once a year. It's just the ancient land. It's a really important place for all of us humans to go. And I was in this island, and it's really, really special island. It has a whole host of different artists who've lived there over time, from like Bowie to Kooning, and all these different amazing artists that have just this really special place. And so I was just feeling very inspired, and I was trying to go to a place inside of myself of like something kind of silly and easy, because a lot of the work I was creating was taking sort of like 20 hours like on one piece. The Ethereum collection I have, some of the like most painstaking work I've ever made, and I really enjoy making them, and I'll continue to do that. But I wanted to do something really simple, so I just started fucking around with. I created a pen on Procreate that fills pixel blocks one by one. It took me ages to make the fucking pen. Like, it was just a fucking YouTube tutorial, and then I was like, hang on, if I don't break the grid down, I can get down to like, yeah. And I was like, I was just playing around. What's the simplest thing I can make? And I kept making hats. I thought, this is hilarious. I've been calling myself Hats for years, and now I'm doing this. But that's why. And I also
it's like meant to be, bro. Like
yeah. No, well, I do wonder. I know it's fucking weird, but don't know why I called myself Hats. And then all these years later, it is fucking weird. And then all these years later, I make this project. It's like, someone said to me the other day, they were like, have you been planning this for 8 years? I was like, no, I'm not mental. Like,
it's like
you know what I mean? It's not
plan.
like Frank Ocean spending like 10 years on his next album or whatever. It's like, it's not like that. Like, I wish it was, but it's not.
Like, I toyed with the idea for a little bit of like doing tile art, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like, because Mew's my initials. I'm like, maybe I'll do the Pokemon Mew, like that'd be cool. And I was like, fuck, this is gonna take like hundreds of tiles, like, or it won't.
Oh yeah.
You can't.
Okay, well, I'll let you in on something, because I haven't really, because we haven't revealed the artwork to Gen 2 yet, but the grid, to give you a hint of it, it's the grid is 20 by 20.
Ooh.
So you know, basic math. Every single piece has 400 tiles, and by the time we finish making them, we'll have laid 200,000 tiles. And I kid you not, me and my wife are making these things every fucking day. We've gone into this place of essentially like factory setup. I've had to move studios to get more room. I make everyone work like it's like one of those cocaine factories. Like everyone's completely naked with like gloves, and there's like, you know, everyone gets searched at the end, and they have to like. No, I'm joking, but it's like it's not like that. But it's full on hard. It's fucking hard.
Funny.
It's a lot of tiles, man. Like each piece, 400 tiles. They take 45 minutes each to make. And if you fuck it up, it's horrible. And there's 500 of them, so you can do the math.
How do you like travel? Like, do you just roll it up and?
They're squares. They're really nice because basically this is the other thing. Yeah, is like when you do this stuff, we tried 5 different types of adhesion to see what type of tile we could make, and you have to like. They need flex. They can't just be brittle. You're not just tiling onto a wall. It's like you're transporting them, so they can't just snap in your bag. So the backing. So you need netting. I've got these custom. I got a carpenter to make these custom frames for Gen 2. So I've got 10 custom frames for each one, so that I lay them into the frame. So every single one has the same fucking set, like to the mill. And it's fucking hard, man. It's like crazy. And you have to. We use the specific French silicon. Which I've been recommended by a certain French tile artist to use, called Sokal, and it does this wonderful job of like adding flex to the component, and the so it's weird. You got to go through all these things. Like we tried like 4 different types of fucking setting agent to try to put it on the wall. There's so many different things. So we've got our own like system now. Someone I really love actually in the space the other day, he's doing similar things, and he's like, "Oh, can you like tell me how to do it?" And I was like, "Nah." I was like, "I'll tell you some bits, but I'm not telling you all of it, because it's like that's like my grandma's curry recipe. It's like I'm not giving you that. It took her fucking years, mate."
Yeah. No, I feel
you have to figure
off your like, you know, skill, and like I feel young.
I was like, I'll give you some rough outlines. Of course, I wouldn't leave anyone hanging. I'm not an asshole. But at the same time, I was like, no, you're going to have to figure out part of this yourself. Because also, you won't be able to buy the products I can buy. Like, you're in Brazil, and it will be like different shit. So you literally have to, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be different for everyone. So
yeah, and you got that's half the journey probably. Do you ever get any like weird looks at the airport with your bags going through? You've just got like a heap of.
Yeah, well, we did in. Yeah, well, we've got an interesting one in 2 weeks. It's going to be. I think I've got a friend who lives in Lisbon, in the centre. So I'm gonna send a ton of shit to him before we go, which is gonna like lighten the load. And then for Berlin and Athens, Berlin's got some amazing hardware shops that I know will have tons of mad ass German glue shit. We'll have to like try a few out when we're there. Athens sort of worries me a bit. I haven't got a fucking clue. I've only been there twice, but and then the States will be really funny because we'll take over. We'll probably do East Coast and then West Coast.
Let me know. Let me know when you're on the West Coast, 100%, like LA, San Francisco.
Yeah. Oh, amazing! Yeah, I'd love that, man. Yeah, it'd be great. We definitely need homies out there. This is it. Like when we go, it's gonna be a very different thing as well. Like the reason we want to sell out the project and build this community is also so when we go and hit cities, we can go and hang out with the collectors. And we've got this concept at the minute of like a hatter's ball, which is just the idea of me. I mean, I've DJ'd and collected records for a very long time, as has Partial, and I was thinking we could do some really interesting things with gigs. But more than that, actually, I'd just like to pay for dinner for everyone and have some food and meet people and shake their hand and take my mask off and ask for no photos and just have a really nice evening with people and be human. And
nice.
I think that's really important. Like it's a really important touch. And going to cities and having collectors there, it's fucking, mate, it's amazing. If you told me that
100%.
5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you that my art would be able to do that. I'd have been like, that's impossible. That's what Web3 does.
Yeah. Well, when you're in Melbourne, for sure, let us know. Me and me.
Yeah. So So if Gen 2 does what we want it to do, Gen 3 is already being designed at the moment. So Gen 3 is really interesting because we're going to go back, like we'll start in Bangkok and probably finish in Melbourne, or we'll be down in the bottom, like we're going to go through Asia and Australia, which would be amazing. And yeah, that's what this is all about. It's about reinvesting into the tour and putting these pieces of work around the globe, documenting fucking everything, compiling it into branding, compiling it into identity care, the broadcast, the message, hack Twitter. We're going to hack Twitter to fuck and turn it into our own TV station. And that is genuinely the plan. Yeah, man, like we'll be there for sure. Gen 3 is going to be cool. We're working with a company in London called Scene Spaces, and I have a solo show planned with them either at the end of this year or the beginning of 2025. Gen 1 holders are all going to, for sure come out. Gen 2 holders, we absolutely love everyone to come out and stuff like that. It's really important. So there's some really, really cool shit happening. Gen 3 will be incorporated into the show. I can't really give any more information than that, but we're working on a concept at the minute, and it's going to be pretty fucking cool. If it works, it'll be completely groundbreaking. So that's the plan. But yeah, I try and get my head around that. I'm like, holy fuck, I need to stop because it's just crazy. I can't fucking get my head there. It's too crazy. I will.
It's so exciting because you can feel like your passion, and like it's so exciting like when an artist with vision is like has the backing to be able to actually manifest their ideas and their vision and stuff, and it's so cool to like watch that as an outsider.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm very privileged, and the collectors of Gen 1 changed mine and Partial's life. So that's kind of as flat out as it gets, really. Like, yeah, and it's only going to grow. We've got to be responsible and grow the pie properly and market the fuck out of it. But we're going to follow the same route. I'm going to contact as many, hundreds of people in a minute. I'm going to have phone calls with them all. I'm going to stack out my fucking Calendly until I can't sleep. And I'm going to talk and tell everyone what the message is until we build a huge bank of whitelisters and send it. And then Public will hopefully fucking do its thing too and get this shit sold out so we can get on tour and reinvest the money back into filming. And that is how this goes. Like, that is what we're completely committed. It seems crazy to not be. I'm like, what a fucking opportunity. I just think like, wow.
Yeah.
Just to, and this to me, it always does feed into that thing of like, yeah, why aren't more people doing that? And I don't mean that flip it. I'm not like, I don't shrug my shoulders like, why the fuck aren't people like that? I'm just like, you got like, I at one point just looked and thought the one of one stuff is really important to me. I'm going to continue doing that. But it was the conversation with Tony when he was cooking up ZMB and he was sending them through, and he was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, I totally get what you're doing." And I remember just being like, "Yeah, like you do have to shoot quite high in the space to sort of get the rewards you want, and that's not big talk. That's just sort of true." And you should, and people should back themselves because you can actually deliver a lot of it, a lot more than you think. And just because you go for things like, the next collection is a lot more PFPable, like they are PFPs. But I'm fine with that. I think it was a bit of a dirty word for a bit, in a sense, for artists, because it's like, oh, you're just doing PFPs. It's like, hang on a minute. These are they're just the vehicle. Like, I'm the driver. Like, this is just the vehicle. I'm the fucking artist. This is just a part of I'm the polymath here. Like, I'll do what I want, and I'll make all the different things that I want to make.
So yeah. Did you say Gen 2 is profile pickable?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and actually, it's what I did was the change the thing I did.
Sorry if I fucked up your your point.
No. No, I did this. I've done this thing to them, and I'm so proud of it. It's this tiny fucking thing, and it's fucking changed everything. It's hilarious. I fucking love art so much. Sometimes you create something and you're like, that is unreal. I can't believe that one thing shifted all the images to becoming something else. So it's very, very cool. I'm really happy with how it turned out. We're working with Ordinals Bot. yeah, get this. We're doing it backwards. So we'll recursively inscribe the images with the city and the country this time in the attributes. And then when we go and do that, which just means we can get them all fucking inscribed because we don't know the exact location of everything. But because they're HTML files, we can inscribe them all, and then we can go to the cities, put them up, make sure that we've got all the details of all the locations, and then put the coordinates, which are the what 3 words stuff, back into the HTML as a JSON, like recursively. So so that you can click on part of the image and it will pop up with the what 3 words coordinates, which is something that OrdinalsBot have already worked on a bit with the Ninja Alerts team, the Pizza Ninjas, with a lot of their pieces had like all this kind of interactivity through HTML. At first, I wasn't really keen because I wanted the provenance of like an actual image and all this stuff. But then when I looked at it, I was like, nah, this is a bit more than that. Like the simplicity of the images is fine. And like, I don't need this to be some sort of like really high res. It's why I went and inscribed on my one of ones the other day, because I was like, oh, I need to get my actual art that I've like drawn and painted on chain now. This generation of work are pieces of art, but they're different, and it just means that when we go to all these cities, we can hit up the chain and update everyone's inscription with the exact location, and we can do that retrospectively. Previously, we were having to go to every location twice, which is honestly the most fucking stupid and hard work thing I've ever done, because you literally have to go to every spot and scope it out, write down the coordinates, go back, give the information to OrdinalsBot, then they inscribe it with the coordinates. You get the URL back, then program the URL into the NFC chip and put it onto. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like
it's massive nightmare.
It's honestly it was fucking hilarious, and we're never doing that again.
Yeah, fair enough. Especially 500 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a couple of questions. Like, first of all, like, I'd like to know, like, obviously there's such a thrill with doing street art, obviously like illegal sometimes, but like, what is the punishment in London on one hand, but also if you're in another country and you get caught like putting shit up, like do you know like what can happen to you doing that?
Yeah, that's why we've picked the cities we have in Europe, because there's actually really, really different laws that have come into place in Spain in the past few years and Italy. And I did do my due diligence on making sure that was, pretty responsible. It's Asia that definitely worries me, I think, the most. There's reasons why the street art scene in certain cities isn't as vibrant as you think. You look around like Kuala Lumpur, for example, and it's like it screams that it should have artwork everywhere, and it doesn't, and it's because they will fucking put you in jail. So that's scary as fuck, and we need to very carefully plan how that happens when we are in other countries. And it's difficult. The one thing I will say is we're not carrying a ton of cans around with us and spraying. I mean, we probably will have some cans and tag a few things because it's fun, but it won't, like, if you're doing a lot of spray pieces, if you're a writer, the immediate association is with trains and all that, and they'll want to punk you quite quickly because that's permanent or semi-permanent. And whereas a tile, if there was some sort of like massive fucking issue, we could chip it off the wall, providing it hadn't set pretty quickly. And yeah, you know what I mean? So the vandalism part starts to be a little bit kinder when you just have to deal with that. But it does worry me, of course, but I just try not to think about it and work it out when we get there. Be discreet. Don't go out hungover. Don't go out pissed. That sort of thing.
It's in your blood anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere either. We fucking told everyone we're going to do it. We've got to go and do it. So by hook or by crook, we will do it. Yeah.
Do you get like? I mean, I feel like it must be quite the thrill. Like when you put it up in a place that's kind of maybe like public or during like a busy time or something. Do you have like a way of like plain sight or like a favorite way to go about it?
Well, London, we wore workers' uniforms, high vis tops too, and had like ladders and whatnot.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, and which was good. It worked, and but yeah, there was, I think, because it was the last like 10 pieces or whatever when we were in Brick Lane, but I got really fucking nervous, and I was like talking to Partial. I was like, I'm fucking really nervous, and he's like, yeah, I can fucking tell you're shaking. I was like, I know, I'm just really edged out. I was like, I don't know why, but it was hell of a busy. I think it was Friday lunch or something. It was like mental. I was like, holy fuck, like, because we just had to get them up because we were leaving, and I don't know. So there's definitely, but it's an amazing thrill. It's great. I think for me though, I'm quite like I love seeing the work after at a point. You know, when you like walk past something discreetly as a normie, you know, blending in. It's like, oh yeah, I did that. It's nice. It's like a nice like
crime.
Hey,
returning to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a little bit of that. It's really nice. Like, that's nice for sure. And then spots like just depending on the height of the spot. We've got one of ones in the Gen 2 collection as well. So each city is going to have one of one, which is going to be pretty fun. Yeah, that's one really cool. One of one. So there's only 10 one of ones in the whole collection, and they're slightly bigger as well. The physical pieces, they look like literally larger. Which is it's really cool. So those need to go in really special spots. You know what I mean? We'll do 49, and then the last one, it's like, right, where does it? This needs to go in a really special spot. It might be high up. It might be that we need to go through someone's apartment to get it, or off a balcony, or on a bus stop, or whatever it is. It might be a little bit trickier, and it'll be really, really fun to do that.
You should like gamify that. Not gamify, but like sorry, not telling you. You should. I mean, like, how you said, go through someone's apartment, and like you have to like actually go on a bit of a side quest.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like, there's lots of things that cross my. There's a really, really good Instagram account that I don't follow anymore because I don't follow anyone's account on Instagram. But it was good when I did. It's called 3D Feety. 3D Feety, like graffiti but 3D. So I recommend going and look at 3D Feety and what he does. It is fucking mind blowing, and the amount of people that he's got on board now means that he can chuck anything up. So he makes these things, and he shows you how he makes them as well because he's a 3D artist. He works with printers and plastics and shapers, and then he'll go and put it somewhere. And these things have become highly fucking collectible, like crazy. And it would just be really strange. Like he'll go up to like a gate on like Buckingham Palace style palaces in other in places around the world, mainly France, and he'll like notice like one section of the fence near the gate where the security aren't there. One section will be missing like a tiny bit of like sort of like the top of a head of a piece of metal on the fence. It just won't be there, and it'll be like, right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to make like a really funky pink version of that, and I'm going to go and put it exactly there. And he'll film it all, and he does it in this fucking unreal way that he animates it all, and then he sets a camera hidden nearby, and he releases the location, and people come and find it in 15 minutes, and they'll
holy the piece. Fuck, that's actually sick as.
Yeah, it's really, really, really fucking cool. 3D Feety. And so that crossed my mind, but if I'm honest, I just couldn't be fucked to go to all that length. Just seems. It's just like, what the fuck? What we're doing is enough work, but that is just like, I don't know, it's bananas. I think because he's in France a lot, you have to kind of be in one place to achieve that. He does Paris tons. And build the rapport of doing it. But it's amazing. At some point, we might have different types of mechanics that like engage people in different ways. But for now, we're going to keep it pretty chill.
How do you find like locations in other cities? Like, do you have someone over there who's already made one up, or do you just kind of scout it out when you get there?
Yeah, there's we've got connections. It's cool. Between me and Partial, we actually know a lot of people in cities, which is great. So we can kind of do a lot of work like that. Google Maps is fucking amazing. Like it's so accurate now. You can just sit at home. I mean, we just basically virtually planned all of London one evening with a couple of beers and takeaway, and then went and did it. And like, so you can and you can do that with any city, right? So it's so funny when people go, "What happens when it gets taken off the wall?" And I'm like, "Aha!" I'm like, that means you think it has value. Like, that's brilliant, fantastic. Because you wouldn't give a fuck if it wasn't, like, if it didn't. You'd just be like, "Oh, it's gone. It's street art. That's what happens. It's ephemeral." But because it has value,
that's
like,
a good one.
It's so funny. It's like you people fully snooker themselves. They're like, well, what happens is like you've sort of answered a question, whether or not it was the question, but you've answered a major one, which is like, is the shit valuable? It's like, well, you clearly care about it now because it's been ripped off the wall, and the answer is like, it's ripped off the wall. It's ripped off the wall. It's what happens. Some of them are gonna stay there for a fucking long time, and in my mind, they are the rarest. And that is a brilliant thing where the streets govern the rarity of the collection.
Oh shit! I like that. I just
yeah.
That just blew my mind a little bit. Yeah, that's sick ass.
yeah. It's a really good way of like, it's like self-managed. I mean, it was sort of accidental in a way, but it's just, I think that's what happens when you have a good idea. It begins to write its own rules, and that's what's happening a lot with HatSats. Is we do have constant eureka moments where we're like, fucking hell, this is fucking brilliant. You know, we're the plans we're making for the Hats broadcast network at the moment is just hilarious. Like we just genuinely pinch ourselves regularly, like, fucking hell, if we get people to do this is brilliant. Like, really brilliant. I mean, I'm scared that if it does reach a level, everything will be deleted off Twitter. Like, we won't see hats or HatSats on Twitter anymore. That's the only thing that kind of worries me, because it's just like, but we'll see.
I was wondering that too. Like, I feel like I know kind of what you're trying to, or what you I know what you're thinking about doing, or like, and I feel like you might be a target.
Yeah, I know. I wonder, and it might be, but if it goes that way, we'll have to think about it. But I don't care. Nah, that'd be great.
Nah, fuck him.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck him. Yeah. But yeah, it's that's where we're at. Yeah, there's so much more I want to tell you, but we haven't released the deck yet, which the Gen 1 holders will be receiving probably Friday. So the new deck, yeah, and once the deck goes to the holders, we're going to be asking them to pass it to people as well. So if anyone who's listening would like to see the new deck to the new Gen 2 release, please message me and ask. I will send it to you. And you will be asked also if you would like to be a part of the whitelist, which will require your ordinals address. And I'm offering that to people who read the deck and fucking care. And then we'll relinquish some of that because we're going to save a lot of the whitelist for what we do with Hats Broadcast Network. So we'll see.
100%. I think like when you did the Gen 1 and like you obviously picked people that like showed interest, or like you speak to and actually want to collect it, and there's only 50 of them, but now that it's like 500, it's like you really want to get how do I put it, like fans to be able to get onto this next whitelist. 100%.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's a really big task. 500 pieces. Like, I actually have sold multiple collections out. Like, all the collections of work I've made on Solana or Bitcoin have sold out. It's an amazing position I've been in. But we worked really hard on how we market it. We worked really, really hard on how we put it towards people. And although I'm, not an account with 20,000 followers and, someone like ZK kind of helping, like we haven't had those types of relationships with people that do help in the space. And they're so fucking rare as well. It's very rare that you come across a real one and they just like push you and help you is fantastic. That said, I've got some fucking insane collectors and some insane counsel and advice from people. So I figure we've got enough to get this over the line. And we get this over the line, it's huge. It's fucking huge because it means everything can be exacted how we want. And we do everything we said, but it also means the gates are like wide open for Gen 3 and the solo show and the sponsors that we have lined up. And it's fucking big. It really is very big. So yeah.
I personally, I think that like 500, I think you've got it in the bag.
Fingers
like
crossed.
I think, but yeah, I know it's always like you obviously would be nervous, and also like some people, you get nervous that some people don't actually see the vision or whatever as well.
Yeah.
Like, is that another thing that you worry about?
I worry that people only care about having a collectible JPEG that they can flip for $10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
We all want to make 10 grand on a picture, but I'm hoping that the message goes further than that. And you know, I got to try. It's that philosophy in this space, I just can't fucking get my head around. Finding the balance as an artist between just making work and being like, I don't fucking care who buys my work. That's kind of what everyone thinks and wants artists to be like. Well, newsflash, that's bullshit. That's not how the world works, and it's fucking bollocks. Like, it's not how this shit works. I tried to explain this recently with the Steve Lazaridis thing about Banksy. It's like Steve Lazaridis was Banksy's manager, and he was a photographer, and he was his fucking driver, and his agent, and his publicist, all in one. Like, there is no Banksy without Steve Lazaridis. Like, you don't think Banksy was having to sell out fucking solo shows in Brighton to pay for shit so that he could get over to LA and meet up with the crowds in LA to get the stencils up in the places? Of course he fucking was. Like, what do you think? You think this shit just happened? That it just like all came to him? It was engineered. He had a team of 14 people in his studio. Like, you have to understand the mechanics of this. Stop thinking everything is this fucking rags to riches fucking bullshit. You know, it's like, it's mechanical, it's processed, and that's okay. Like, there are allowed to be parts to this that are processed. There are allowed to be parts of it that are scaffolded. You have to be so much more than just an artist in this space, and you fucking should be too, because it's like really, really, really good. Because when you have the ability to make money and reinvest it at the scale that you can reinvest it in, there's anything happening in this space and you see motherfuckers releasing 10K collections, you're like, I can't believe it, they made $20 million. What a bunch of motherfuckers. It's like, you shouldn't be thinking that. You should be like, there's $20 million liquidity there. What the fuck, man? Okay, like, if I get 10% of that, I can do X, Y, Z. I should be, how do I engage with that? How do I think and pull that interest back into me so I can reinvest it and make cool shit that can inspire people to make more cool shit? Like, you know, so it's a real wake-up call. And I think that the playing field, the reason we're all here is because the playing field is like really flat. And like, just because you see collections that are selling out, like, why is no one buying my art? Shut the fuck up. No one was buying your art 5 years ago, and you've got this amazing opportunity now to sell art. You know what I mean? And it's just like, if it's not selling, there's the chances are shit has moved on and you haven't caught up. That's genuine. I look around at the minute, I'm like, get your shit together. Like, come on. Like, you can't keep. I just looked a lot at what was happening in Solana, and I just thought, I've got to develop this. Like, I am 100% going to release more work on Solana. I fucking love Solana, man. I'll probably keep releasing bits and bobs on Ethereum as well, for sure. But there was no way that I wasn't going to develop my art into Bitcoin. And whatever happens next, whatever it is next, I'll be like, yeah, man, I'm up for that too. Because I'm a modern motherfucker. I'll do that.
Well, on that note, Hats had another question for you. I kind of wanted to ask you, like, if you could this is kind of a big question, if you could kind of like summarize the whole philosophy or like message behind your art, almost like a single sentence, like what would you feel like it really is, like the message of? Yeah.
We actually we said this today. We were like, we know. I think. God, that's really hard.
It is. And I really put you on the spot. Sorry.
It's embrace your inner polymath for sure. That like I can't believe the potential of people. It blows my tiny fucking brain. And we've all. I tell you, one of the most dangerous things in this space too is the bullshit that people propound, which is that you've got to have an identifiable style always. It's like that is a really bad message, because what that does is it tunnels and funnels people into an area, which means they're always, well, one, they'll refine that style, which is fantastic, brilliant, okay, but don't let that shackle you. Like, you know, you find it with illustrators a lot, that they become known for character, and the character then becomes them. They become the character, and their shading style and their masking style and the pens they use and everything, like it's their thing. And then they pretty much, that's it. You know what I mean? Like you can't then kind of peel away from that, because if you do, then you look a bit kooky and a little bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that really, really dangerous. I think that you of course should have an identity behind what you do, but your job shouldn't be to only be known for one singular thing. And I think that the best examples of that are people like Scott Walker and Prince and David Bowie. Just, you know, like think about how you can develop over decades and change, and that you should be proud of. You know, Scott Walker is the most important artist in the past 100 years, and no one ever fucking talks about him. The Walker brothers were as big as the Beatles, and at the absolute height of their fucking fame, he walked away from them to pursue a 40-year career in avant-garde music concrete and crooning. Like, what the fuck? Like, he then just released albums, Scott Walker 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't know who this is, go and watch 21st Century Man or 20th Century Man, the documentary about him, and you will not be the same afterwards, because true enlightenment, particularly through a lot of the drugs that I've taken in my life, but very much the psychedelic drugs, true enlightenment only really happens when you sort of let go of everything, and to attach yourself entirely to one thing, it just blows my mind. I'm like, why? Even if there's the best reason in the world, I'm like, half the time you look at Ye at the minute, I'm like, the reason why Ye has popped and cracked is because Kanye's dead, and he's had to fucking reinvent everything. And he did it kind of multiple times, but then he kind of couldn't do it anymore because he had to go back to his fucking every day and everybody wants that patter and that bar from him. And it's like, I think he just went fucking mental. He's just completely cracked because he can't. It's really hard to. You should always keep changing, and you should feel like you should be allowed to change. So, like, when you're in a space and you're making artwork, definitely become known for stuff. Definitely have a value and an identity for sure. But don't be scared to like rip all that up and then do something different. I never thought I'd be making pixel art. Like, I'd be like, fuck that. I'm not making fucking pixel art. But I am. So it's fine. It's like, it allows me to do what I want.
When you say like embrace your inner, was it polymath? Is that the word?
Embrace your inner polymath. Yeah, polymath. Polymaths. You know, polymaths are people that have multiple. Polyglots are people that speak lots of different languages, like 9 languages. You know, polymaths are people that have multiple different specialities, and I think that we all have it. And it's one of the strangest things in life is that we all have the ability to be polymaths. And to embrace what we've got inside of us. So when you're in a space and it's like people are buying your artwork and you fucking, you know, you could fucking start coding and develop something and you can sell it and reinvest it in that and so on. This shit doesn't happen on the streets at the minute. This isn't happening in a little cafe. You're not gonna fucking get it. Trust me. I fucking trust me on that. And it's just it's great. It's an amazing opportunity. And with Bitcoin, like staring us all in the face, like, this is nuts. We're making art on fucking Bitcoin. What the fuck? Well, we didn't think this was possible 2 years ago. This was just like, no.
Do you feel like with your like inner polymath, do you feel like there are lots of different sides or almost like alter egos that like kind of come through when the art comes through, if you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, the pieces that I inscribed recently, I went into like a totally different place to do this. When I'm making the tiles in the studio, I've got like a podcast on, little cup of tea, putting the tiles together. You know what I mean? It's quite cute, really, but it's not like when I'm doing like the new collection. It's like, you know, I'll put like some of my favorite drone albums on. I've actually got one of my favorite pieces of music to work to is Deckard from Blade Runner. There's a 12-hour loop of the sound of his apartment in Blade Runner on YouTube. It's my favorite piece of music to work to. So if you ever need to zone out and do something, just put that on. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that's sick. Your things. It's good to know as well that you're a tripper. Like, I very strongly advocate for like the legality of medicinal plant medicine. Yeah. But it's definitely been an inspiration for me and opening my mind and shit.
Good.
I have another question as well. Like, I do a bit of stencil art, but it's on clothing because my channel is fashion. So I just wondering if you had any tips for me on like doing like better stencil work, because sometimes it's a bit like crusty on the edges.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's really funny because when I was literally just walking back from town, I just had lunch with Partial, and I saw a really nice tag, and I was like, I'd love to put a hat on that. And I was considering, I've always constantly considering making stencils of hats, blah, blah, blah. It's really hard with edging. Edges are really hard. You need the right like type of, it depends on whether or not you use like an acetate or a cardboard. Cardboard's really hard, like really, really thin paper, or thick paper, we should say, because it can get wet in the rain, and from the paint, it will very quickly get wet. And also the edging will come off the brick, so it tends to be better if you use like an acetate, like plastic, which is quite kind to cut as well. I would just make sure you're trying to do it with plastic, and just get ready for your paint to run like fuck off the plastic when you're spraying. And that sort of thing. But yeah, edges are hard. It's a lot of edges I find with stencils and stuff too, is the way you spray. Like, you need to channel your spraying. Like, definitely get a fat cap on your can, and spray from like 30 centimeter kind of distance, so that you don't like centralize the paint. You need like even coverage. The effect you'll get is a lot better if you're just a bit lighter. Like, you don't need to be heavy with it.
Yeah, that's a good one, because I do it on clothing. Like, it bleeds pretty easily sometimes, so it's such a hard
clothing. Yeah, all right. So clothing's hard. I mean, tighten it up with like matching pens, maybe, or you know, if there's ways that you can go in and help the edges afterwards. But or like, if you're finding that it's doing your head in, just work with it and make it scruffy and messy, and just like fucking, I don't know, let things run and like let that become a part of you.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it is a little bit, because like I kind of feel like my philosophy a little bit is like, I don't care yet if I don't have the skills. It's not going to stop me from kind of executing my vision to the best of my ability. Like, I'm still just chasing that vision, and the skills will catch up. And so the overall thing I feel like people buying from me is like they're believing in my vision in a way. So it's like, and also the message that like anyone can kind of do it if they just keep going. So it's like I will keep getting better over time, I think. I have a couple more questions. Do you wear a lot of hats in real life?
Yeah, I do. I love hats. Yeah.
What's your favorite?
I've got a really big head, so I get fucked off with hats. They need to be. I'm very particular. I'm very particular about the type of hat I put on my head, because if it doesn't feel right, I'm like, fuck it off. But I wear a shit ton of caps. And I generally find hats are really funny, because like, sort of, I haven't really met anyone that like doesn't like hats at all. Like, everybody kind of likes hats.
I fucking love hats. I have so many hats. I'm dead set. I have so many hats. Like I can't stop buying hats all the time. Like,
I'm sorry. Can I add to this? We used to have this thing called Hat Night. Okay, and Hat Night, we wore hats. You know what I'm saying? And so I get it.
Love it.
Does anybody wear a top hat?
Oh, I don't wear a top hat. That's not. That's
no.
What about you, Creasy?
What, top hat? Oh hell,
yeah.
I'm not putting any damn thing on. If it pleases them, you know what I mean?
Awesome.
I mean, I'd say that, right?
Does anybody else have any questions? Because I feel like I'm pretty satisfied.
Nah, I want to tell Hats that just massive respect for the whole project. I don't know. A little bit of a fanboy. But I love it.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been really fun to come up and talk. I hope you guys grow the pie. I hope you grow the space more. I hope that what you're doing makes sense to you, and that you have just keep plugging away at like the idea, Jim, the systems and stuff is really fascinating, and I just think like I said, it's really important that people, make all these money on shit coins and stuff. Like, what's everyone fucking doing with it? You know what I mean? Just playing with the dicks, fucking around, and you've got such it's crazy. It's like, we've got such an opportunity, and there's Liquidor out, and like I said earlier, you gotta have this kind of sniper scope on with what you can do, and so I really respect what you guys do, and I'm looking forward to Gen 2 of Hatsats. There'll be more news soon. Fucking exciting.
I'm so keen to see this fucking deck thing.
yeah, man. I've got a little bit of work left to do on it, but we're nearly there.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for your time and coming.
Yeah, no worries.
Great to really delve deep into your art and get to know it and you better. So really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks so much, man.
Thank you for your really super kind questions, and it was very nice to meet you.